Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Quiet, all of you.
Hey, come on, watch this.
So we start off in the jungle, where some hunters and construction workers are loading something that's in a cage into a bigger cage. Well, the electronic lock system lied to him, and the cage gets loose, and the guy opening the gate gets grabbed. The guy in charge rushes in to save him.
Hold on to your butts.
But even though the creature's being shot at, Muldoon loses his grip because this thing really wants to eat him.
I happen to be a vegetarian.
We then see this lawyer being pulled on a pallet towards an amber mine. The family of the Midnight Snack wants to sue the owner of the zoo, but the lawyer says that the insurance company will back off if they can get this guy Alan Grant to sign off on the park.
What's so special about that guy?
He's a digger.
Well, he's an expert on dinosaur bones.
How would a dinosaur bone guy lower the insurance of a death claim?
Jesus Christ. Insurance companies are very thorough. Unlike the lawyer, who didn't even check if the guy he's looking for was even in the country before he booked his flight to the Dominican Republic.
Idiot.
But we meet Dr. Grant in Montana, where he's digging up some fossils and scaring a small child by telling him the terrible and gruesome ways that a velociraptor could kill him. He'd cut your dick off, boy. See, he doesn't want to have children, and that's where he and his lady friend, Dr. Sattler, disagree.
Kids!
What are those?
Small versions of adults, honey.
You want to have one of those?
So this helicopter is landing, and everyone runs over so they don't ruin the dig site. The pilot then tells Grant that the guy he flew in is in his trailer, so apparently this 70-year-old man that's made himself at home must have parachuted out.
Yahoo!
This daredevil is John Hammond, who wants to bribe them into coming to his park, and he celebrates his small victory by opening their champagne.
Hey, we were saving that.
In Costa Rica, this guy Dennis Nedry is having a lunch meeting with this guy from a competing company who doesn't know how to hold a briefcase.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here.
And you know this guy's a complete loser if somebody like Nedry's making fun of him after he just hands him $750,000.
Nobody cares. Nice hat.
Thank you.
Nedry's way too excited about a can of shaving cream and ruins some pie. But we find out he's betraying Hammond because he's not paying him enough.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodson. That was Hammond's mistake.
We spared no expense.
On the helicopter to the island, there's this other guy, Ian Malcolm, who's a very annoying mathematician. Once they land, they run out of road and pull over. Dr. Grant looks over to see it right away, but Ellie's too busy looking at a leaf to notice the 50-foot dinosaur next to the Jeep.
How would he have a dinosaur?
Well, I'm about to fucking tell you. See, they took blood from mosquitoes that got trapped in tree sap, and they spliced the DNA with frog DNA, even though Grant said that they have more in common with birds, and ta-da!
A baby dinosaur.
The scientists break into the genetics lab, where the lead scientist, Dr. Wu, tells him that all the dinosaurs are female, but Dr. Malcolm thinks that they'll end up having babies anyway.
Why couldn't they have babies? I have a friend that has 2 mommies.
Yeah, you're gonna have to ask your parents about that one. Anyway, they watch the birth of a baby raptor, and Dr. Grant disapproves, even though it was like Christmas morning when he found out they had a T-Rex.
We have a T-Rex.
At lunch, Hammond finds out that the scientists he selected to sign off on his park are wondering if it's safe.
But John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
And they don't even get to eat because his grandchildren show up. And despite them being so happy to see him that they knock the old man with a cane over, Hammond immediately ditches them by sending him on a tour with complete strangers.
You don't take any responsibility.
And Ellie tries to use this opportunity to get Alan to bond with the brats.
Clever girl.
Muldoon tells Hammond that there's a storm coming their way, but that doesn't stop Hammond from sending everyone out into the jungle.
What's the matter? Scared of a little lightning?
We find out that there's a bunch of computer problems, and Nedry is the reason. He's being lazy because he's not being paid enough. But that's interrupted by Muldoon being afraid of them being too close to the T-Rex cage, which is part of the tour.
Is there anybody else who thinks that we shouldn't be out here?
But if he's that nervous, why didn't he go with them? And the T-Rex isn't even coming out, so they decide to sacrifice a goat.
Those buttholes.
And when it still doesn't come out, they just leave, and Malcolm blatantly hits on Ellie, while she's just like, I'm learning something. Dr. Grant must really be secure in their relationship, because he just jumps out of the car.
Okay?
Yeah, he saw a sick dinosaur and wants to get a closer look. Ellie goes too, and then everyone else follows.
Drop what you're doing and leave now.
A triceratops is sick, so Ellie shoves her arm in its shit to see if it ate some poison berries.
Gross!
So the storm is getting closer, so they all get called back to the cars, but she wants to stay back to look at some more turds.
They smell.
They do not
Some of them smell.
All of the park staff are being sent off the island, so Nedry's going to use this opportunity to steal the dinosaur embryos. He tells the crew that there will be some systems that might go down, but it's just normal for the program he's running. And absolutely no one objects when they still have visitors out in the park.
This is just a delay. That's all it is. All major theme parks have delays.
And then Nedry says he's just going to the vending machine, even though he's planning on stealing stuff, getting back to the boat, and going to the mainland. I'm pretty sure they're gonna know it was him when this stuff turns up missing.
He's covered his tracks far too well.
But he needs to drive through the dinosaur cages to get to the dock. He claims that his test run took him 20 minutes, but now it's raining with low visibility, but he thinks he can make it in 15. But really, more importantly, why are they sending people out on a boat in a hurricane?
Why didn't I build in Orlando?
Anyway, so Nedry crashes into a sign and doesn't know which way to go now. Now keep in mind that he claims that he's timed this route, which means he's done it multiple times, and now he doesn't know which way to go? I mean, considering he wants to go to the east dock, I'd say go east. But once he gets back on the road, he crashes again, but finds the right way to the dock. He now has to get the Jeep unstuck, but he's got a Dilophosaurus following him.
I've never heard of that one.
Honestly, no one did until this story came out, but just picture a lizard that has a neck that does jazz hands, and then hawks loogies in your face before it eats you.
That doesn't look very scary.
So Nedry gets eaten.
The car's bouncing up and down, but that's okay.
I think it's obvious now that he's not coming back.
And a shaving cream can gets buried in the mud.
What a complete slob.
The tour jeeps get stopped at the T-Rex cage, where the kids notice that the goat is gone, but they do find it pretty quick.
Look, it's blood.
After seeing this, the lawyer runs away as the T-Rex breaks out of the fence.
I'm sorry about the dramatic entrance.
It attacks the Jeep the kids are in because Lex is having a rave, but then Grant manages to lure it away with a flare, but Ian stupidly lights one up too, so it follows him.
Must go faster.
He runs to the outhouse that the lawyer is in, but the T-Rex finds him instead and eats him off the toilet.
I don't care for lawyers. Do you?
After seeing this, Lex screams and brings the T-Rex back over to them before Tim can get out of the Jeep.
I'm stuck.
The T-Rex is looking for Lex, who's hiding behind the car that's gradually being pushed off a cliff.
Where'd that come from?
So I guess the T-Rex stomping around caused an earthquake or a landslide, because the area where the goat was just a few minutes ago, at eye level, has now dropped about 80 feet.
It's not possible.
So Dr. Grant and Lex escape the T-Rex by going down the newly formed but oddly cemented wall, but have to get out of the way of the Jeep that the T-Rex sees as a threat and is pushing off said cliff.
Very good. Push. Push.
It falls with Tim still inside, but lands in a tree so he can survive.
Life, finds a way.
Well, Alan needs to get Tim out of the tree, so he has Lex hide in the sewer.
That is one big pile of shit.
Conveniently, this tree has more than enough branches for him to climb up, but once he gets there, he forgets that turning the steering wheel will turn the tires.
Idiot.
So when Tim tries to get out of the Jeep, they try to race the Jeep to the ground instead of just going up a few branches and going down after it falls. Or maybe just going to the other side of the tree.
Where's the fun in that?
So Ellie and Muldoon show up to the T-Rex cage and find bits and pieces of the lawyer.
I think this was Gennaro.
I think this was too.
But not Malcolm, who's still a whole dude 2 feet away from him until he moans.
So you wanna play hide and seek, huh?
And mind you, he was only covered by a single leaf.
Doesn't sound like you really got the gist of the game.
And I guess the drop is too far for Alan and the kids to hear their names being called, but the T-Rex hears Ellie and is now coming to get them. But she sees the other car and just hops down to investigate, but turns out they're long gone. And she must be an expert climber because she gets back up in time to jump in the Jeep and drive off right before the T-Rex can get him. And once they really get going, the T-Rex just gives up after a bit.
And did I go too fast? I go too fast. I did a flyby.
Alan and the kids climb up another tree and says that he'll stay awake to keep them safe all night. But not before he throws away his lucky raptor claw that he always kept in his back pocket.
Why would he throw away his good luck charm?
Shut up. It's symbolic of him not thinking children are a pain in the ass anymore.
It's metaphorical!
He then wakes up when a Brachiosaurus pops up and sneezes on them.
Gross.
When they get up and moving again, they find some eggs, so they know the dinosaurs are breeding now.
I thought that you said they couldn't have any babies because they were all girls.
Well, one of them turned into a boy.
So it's a transformer?
Sure. Yeah, let's just go with that.
There's only one way to be positive.
What, does somebody go out in the park and pull up the dinosaur skirts?
So back at the security office, they plan on shutting down the power to the park instead of waiting for the dinosaurs to just die.
They should all be destroyed.
So they turn off the power to try to reset the system, But when they turn it back on, only this one computer starts back up, which is not how electricity works.
What's questionable about electricity?
So now they need to turn on the main breaker. And to do that, they need to go to this building by the raptor cage. So Mr. Arnold goes by himself.
There's nothing to worry about. It's just a simple thing.
So Dr. Grant and the kids are walking through this field. All of a sudden, they see this herd of dinosaurs that Dr. Grant points out is running like a flock of birds evading a predator. But then a T-Rex pops out in front of them, so who knows what the fuck they were running away from. So after waiting 5 minutes, when Mr. Arnold only said he needed 3,
I can't wait anymore.
Ellie gets impatient and decides to go after him, and Muldoon goes with her.
But why didn't he go with Mr. Arnold?
Mother! It's stuff like this that gives me trust issues.
They see that the raptors got out,
And our worst fears have been realized.
Damn it, even Nedry knew better than to mess with a raptor,
and Muldoon sees that they're being hunted.
We're being hunted.
So he stays behind so Ellie can get to the shed. She finds the fuse box, but luckily, she needs to turn on all the fences one at a time to give Alan and Lex enough time to get over this fence. But Tim doesn't make it over in time, even though he and his sister could have easily just squeezed through, and he ends up getting shocked. But it really would have been more like this, instead of this. Ellie celebrates, but then gets attacked by a raptor, and when she gets away, thinks that Arnold would just wrap his arm around her shoulder and not say anything after she was just almost eaten.
In theory.
Muldoon's been lured into the jungle, at least far enough away from the path, to not hear Ellie come out. And then, we see that this raptor expert has no idea how they hunt, even though he spent time with them, watched them in captivity, but Grant knew how they hunted only by seeing their bones.
And that's when the attack comes, not from the front, but from the side.
So Tim's unconscious, so Grant has to give him mouth to mouth, and of course that works and he's fine.
Life found a way.
And then he gets the kids back to the cafeteria, where they have a bunch of desserts laid out for absolutely nobody.
You will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything.
So Grant goes to look for the others, and for some reason goes outside. Now Ellie happens to be out there, but there's no reason why he would think she would be. And then she tells him to run.
I have to insist that we get moving.
And he runs towards her instead. Lex sees a raptor coming, so they go hide in the kitchen.
Do you think he saw us?
And this is where the kids almost die multiple times.
Can't you stop these things?
But Lex gets one dazed enough for them to lock the other one in the cooler, and then the first one just watches them leave. They get to Alan and Ellie, and they go into the control room. The locks on the doors don't work yet, so Lex remembers that she's a hacker.
I'm a hacker.
And might be able to reboot the system, and Tim cheers his sister on instead of giving the adults the gun that they're yelling for.
God damn it! Hate this hacker crap!
She gets everything turned back on, but they need to escape. They have to climb up into the ceiling, because the raptor just comes through the window,
What the hell do you think you're doing in here?
but was nice enough to give them enough time to call Hammond.
Hello, John.
Hello, John.
They find their way to the main room where they climb down a fossil instead of just using the stairs, but the raptors are right behind them. And just as the raptors surround them, a T-Rex comes out of nowhere and attacks the raptors.
Oh, perfect timing.
Like, there are no tremors saying it's coming. Shit, there's not even a hint of how it got in. But all the characters seem to miss the giant animal in the same room as them.
He doesn't want anybody to see what he's about to do.
So while the T-Rex takes out the raptors, they escape the island with Hammond and Malcolm, who pull up just at the right second.
Remind me to thank John for a lovely weekend.
So this pretty much goes without saying, but they're not going to end up opening Jurassic Park, and Hammond's going to be broke after this lawsuit.
That makes the investors very, very anxious.
I insist on being here.
When they subscribe.
Very good. Push. Push.
See, here I am now by myself, talking to myself. That's chaos theory.